Hello and welcome to this easy do-it-yourself project by decorating miniature faux taper candles for small scenes or dollhouses, made from food-grade round wood toothpicks. I made these candles to go with some of the bottle cap cakes I made from a previous video. The candlestick holders are purchased polystyrene plastic Chrysnbon pieces that I painted and added some decorations to. The video shows the taper candle shaped from the toothpick ends by removing the tips, sanding, painting, adding wicks, and an imitation flame on top. Suggested materials are shown and listed below in the description box. Similar miniature candles could be made from clay, rolled paper, small wood dowels, or they could also be purchased from a miniature store or online. These toothpicks are about 2.5 inches in length and 1/16 of an inch in diameter. The ends are tapered to a soft point. Select a toothpick and then mark about 1/8 of an inch off either end of the tips, and then you can cut with a pair of scissors or use your craft knife. I cut the tip off so that I have a little bit more of surface on the top of the taper candle so that I can add a wick later on. Next, I gently sand around the top of the edge, just getting off any stray pieces of the wood. I used the scissors to cut off the one end of the toothpick, and now I'm using the craft knife. Both cutting methods work, and then sand the ends. Then I place the toothpick with the clamp in the center, a small clamp, to hold it so that I can paint the ends. For these candles, I just use one coat of paint. What you could do is, if you add a second coat of paint, do light sanding in between the coats. You can also take a piece of paper towel and rub it around the painted toothpick ends to give it a smoother appearance after the paint has had time to dry. The total candle with the candle holder ends up being about 1 inch in height. I'm painting these candles in the fall festive holiday type colors, orange and light green, black, and kind of a creamy white. And then I set it aside to dry. The first batch of candles I did not cut off the tips. I had to cut them off later for the blue, red, and gold. Of course, that was after I realized I didn't have enough room to put my little thread wick on top. So no worries, I just cut off the tips and touched up with paint and sanding. Since I will be adding a little imitation flame to the top of my wicks on my candles, I'm going to use black thread. But if you're going to make some brand new candles, use white thread. Cut a piece of thread a few inches or more, and then you're going to use your fingers and add a bit of tacky glue to kind of stiffen the thread and to keep it from fraying. I'm letting the thread dry. It's attached to the top of one of my little paint bottles. You can barely see it there in the middle. Now I'm going to take a strip that I've already added the glue to and it's dried. I'm going to grab my craft knife and I'm just going to cut little tiny pieces off, about 1/16 to 1/8 of an inch. I'm going to turn my craft knife around so you can kind of see how I'm cutting it. It was kind of hard to see from the other end. And I'm basically just pressing on the thread and it just kind of, and pulling to get the little tiny pieces to make the wicks. After you've added or glued the little wicks to the tops of the candles, you can also trim them if they're too long. So I'm using a tweezers to hold on to the wick to give you an idea how it's going to go on to the top of the candle. I'm holding the base of the candle and the tip with the wick. Definitely had to use tweezers. To attach the wicks, place a drop of glue to the toothpick candle top. I am generous with the glue and I apply it using a quilter's pin. Then use your tweezers to hold on to one end of the thread wick to place it on the top center of the candle end. So try not to get your tweezers into the glue. Turn the candle around and adjust if needed to make sure that the wick is centered on the top, and then let it dry and go to the next candle. and repeat the process. There are many different methods and materials to make tiny candles. I have some previous videos of making honeycomb candles, tea lights, and pillar candles. Here we go. I got the tweezers and the glue for the little green candle, and it just isn't going to work. So the best thing to do is just to stop and to dry off your tweezers, and then maybe get a dry wick. Imitation or faux flames are ready to be added to the taper candle tops when the glue has dried from the wicks. If making new look candles, you could use white or cream thread for the wicks instead of the black. There are many options to make the faux flame tips, like paper, cotton strands, glitter, dried glue pieces painted, or glass paint. You could use a paper punch that has little oval shapes. They're about 1/8 of an inch in length. Paint regular copy paper or computer paper in orange, yellow, and whites, and then punch it, and then glue the little flames to the top of the wicks. You could also use little cotton balls in yellows or white, and then just kind of pull off a couple of strands and then put them into little oval shapes, kind of about 1/8 of an inch, and then glue that to the wick as well. And then there's always glitter in lots of different colors, and glitter also comes in several sizes, from tiny to large, and different colors from clear to gold to silver, oranges, yellows. Then there's another option using glass paint, which almost looks like a glue with different color and little sparkles in them as well. I'm going to try the glass paint by testing it first. I mixed some of the colors together to get different shades. I applied them to a clear sheet protector, and then I waited for them to dry because there is a difference between the wet and dry color. For this project, I chose the gold sparkle paint. It has micro gold glitter pieces in it with a light yellow cream base. First, I apply a small amount to the wick top tip with the quilter's pin, with the idea to layer in between the drying of the glass paint to make an imitation flame shape. However, it seemed like I was getting a round ball instead of the ellipse oval type shape of flame that I wanted. So then I tried making flame shapes using the quilter's pin tip on an angle, dipping it into the glass paint, and then making little oval shapes on the plastic protector. When dry, I removed the flames, lifting up carefully from the plastic protector with the pin, and then I glued that to the top of those wicks, and leaving a little tiny gap in between the candle, the taper, and where you start your flame. So maybe like 1/32 of an inch to 1/16 of an inch. And it can be a little fidgety trying to get that flame in the direction you want it to go. Once you have the flame on, then go ahead and add some glass paint to the other side so you envelope the wick, so the wick's in the middle. I purchased a batch of white Chrysnbon 5/8 inch candlestick holders at a miniature dollhouse show a few years ago. And I see that there are currently a number of online sites that sell them as well in a variety of colors and packages. To prepare the polystyrene plastic Chrysnbon candlestick holder, remove the tiny bits that were made during the molding process using a craft knife, and use some gentle sanding. I'm using an emery board, or you could use a sanding stick. There are about 3 little bits around the top and one on the side top edge. And then the bottoms sometimes don't sit flat, and so you'll have to go to the bottom and just kind of get that little nib off, and then just kind of sand it. Then you could leave the white colored candlestick holder as it is, or go ahead and spray paint it. I use an easy removable painter's tape reversed so that it secures the candle holder base before I apply the primer paint. I spray paint it with a primer that's made for plastics. When it's dry, then I paint it with acrylic paint, kind of a cream oyster white color, but you could use any color. To decorate the candles, I painted 6 of the candle holders with oyster white acrylic paint, and then I left 2 of them in the original white. Then I added gold paint to one set and glued tiny 15/0 shiny cream color seed beads in a circle at the base of the candle. The blue taper candle set has artificial snow bits painted oyster white, dried, and then glued around those candle bases. For the red taper candle set, I glued micro foam balls about 1/32 of an inch or so in diameter in the red, cream, and olives around the circle base. I removed them from a faux plant. And for the turquoise candles on the white holders, I used purchased pre-cut 5-petal bright orange and yellow flowers shaped with a stylus and glued around the candle base. The miniature candles make great accessory items for dioramas, displays, dollhouses, tabletops, on mantels in historic homes, or other events like weddings, anniversaries, birthdays, parties, or even as a mini gift. I also updated some of my candle wicks and flames from one of my previous historical houses. The candlestick holders I made from jewelry findings, and I'll show in a future video. Well, I hope you like and share this miniature project, making toothpick taper candles. Thank you so much for watching.